Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, hospitals are built for sick people. We are going to have a couple of doctors on the show who are going to talk about wellness. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, unfortunately, when doctors go to school, they're taught a lot about the human body and how it works, but most of the education is devoted to taking care of sick people after they've already let their health decline. I love doctors who are dedicating their life to wellness. And so in the studio right now, Dr. Adalie Schmidt and Dr. Adam Parsons, thank you both for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes. All right, let's start with you, Dr. Adam. When you went to medical school, you were being trained to write prescriptions, basically.
For sure. So I feel like what we're trained for the most part these days is to really encompass the sick care model. I think essentially waiting until there's a problem, throwing prescriptions at it and managing that disease. The focus that we want to apply more so these days is preventing sickness, promoting longevity. I tell people all the time, you're either going to spend time, effort, a little bit of money in your youth maintaining health,
yes,
or you're going to spend 10 times that amount later on trying to regain it. But can you ever get back to that original set point that you had? It's much more difficult to do so.
Yes. Dr. Adalie, you've dedicated your life to chiropractic care. Tell us about what jazzes you.
Yeah, I like seeing people come in, they're hurting, they have low back pain, neck pain, and then kind of watching them evolve, and it's no longer pain. Now we're working on the function aspect of it so they can move better, feel better.
And you had your own journey.
I did, yeah. I was going to fuse my spine up at Mayo Clinic when I was 21, and so the PA was awesome. She came into the room and was like, you can do this at any time. Let's try something else. And so she pushed me to go to chiropractic school, and here I am.
Oh, okay. So, what in every occupation there's a win. What's a win for you guys?
I think generally a win is to be able to capture somebody who actually is motivated for their health, wants to come in and actually apply some effort towards it about maintaining health. We do a lot of hormone replacement therapy, a lot of weight loss therapy, a lot of nutritional coaching and exercise coaching. And so one that sticks out the most in my mind is a patient of mine who's been following me for about 6 or 7 years. I first picked her up at a previous practice where we were pretty much only relying on the standard of care medicine, insurance-based model. And it was kind of defeating to see her come in every day. Not every day, but whenever she'd come in because she was depressed, her knees would hurt, her back would hurt. She was significantly overweight. And then once I carried her to my new practice, we decided to open up the scenes to be able to do more functional medicine, regenerative medicine, longevity type medicine, and carried her through a journey over the next few years where she was able to lose close to 160 pounds. And she is a completely different person. She's a reminder whenever she comes in these days of why I do what I do. She's one of my better success stories, but kind of makes you remember what you're doing this for.
I love that. Dr. Adalie, do you have a success story?
Yeah, for me, I had a patient come in who did not believe in chiropractic at all, but her OB was like, try it. She wanted to have a vaginal birth after C-section, and we went through the whole pregnancy together, and she was able to get that birth that she wanted.
What does that feel like?
Proud of her. It's great to see people, that's a huge milestone in people's life to be able to accomplish something that they didn't believe that they could.
Yes. We're going to pull up your website. It's modelwellness.com. And as we show this, there's a nice kind of slider on the homepage that shows some of the different modalities that you practice. Why don't you list some of them for us?
So on my side of practice, the main focus is like longevity care, and so everything falls under a longevity umbrella. Whether that's hormone replacement therapy for men or women, discussing peptide therapies, regenerative medicine, PRP injections, things like that, or exosomes. We still do primary care with an insurance-based model. Most of the good stuff really occurs outside of that model, but we do kind of provide each service with one foot on the other side of the fence. So always keeping the standard of care of traditional medicine in our view, but then playing with some of the modalities that we have outside of that really helps people generate that next level of health.
Yes.
So we'll focus on functional medicine quite a bit. Functional medicine is almost kind of it's a deeper dive into root causes of illness. So instead of saying, congratulations, you turned 40, now you have high blood pressure, here's a pill for it. The functional medicine approach is more of trying to understand why this happened to you. You didn't just turn 40 and your blood vessels get tight. There's a process that occurs over years that puts us into that situation that then predisposes us to heart disease. So recognizing those features early on, being able to implement changes, nutritional, exercise, or otherwise to prevent those things, really will translate down the road into patient years, not just duration of life, but like longevity, that health span that people always talk about.
And you have 5 pillars.
My 5 pillars at our practice that we preach on just about everybody is nutrition, exercise, gut health, stress management, sleep quality. On a solid foundation of that, you can hack around, you can build, you can play. If you have a crumbled foundation, it's going to be very hard to work on those sorts of things to see reasonable improvement. So we prioritize nailing down those 5 pillars at first, and then everything else on top of that is how we build.
Yes. I've talked to so many people, and I'm 63 now. They were cruising along in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and then sometime in their 50s and maybe early 60s, everything changes. What happens in the body when you turn 60?
Generally speaking, there's 3 main time periods where a person ages. Sometime in your 20s, then in your mid 40s, and then your early mid 60s. And so we really try to focus on is gathering people as quickly as we possibly can at a younger age. The most important decade that we think really promotes how you're going to age throughout the second half of your life is between the age of 35 and 45. Unfortunately, most people who are between 35 and 45 aren't really as future focused as maybe our folks in their 50s or 60s are.
Yes.
And so while I love capturing people of all ages, I really enjoy capturing people between 35 and 45 or even thereafter. That's the time. That's the time to really promote wellness, promote lifestyle changes that we can allow ourselves to coast a little bit easier into our future years.
All right, let's talk more about chiropractic care, because so many people, they get an injury in their 20s and they get on some kind of pain pill or something like that, and sometimes they're kind of nursing this injury for decades before they actually get healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our goal is, if they come in, early, is get rid of the pain. That's the first thing to go, always. It goes fast, but then it's the rehab portion of it. So we want people to get stronger. If it's a low back problem, we're going to start working the core, working the low back, the glutes, making sure everything is stabilizing so then that injury doesn't come back. And then we can hopefully get off of some of those pain medicines.
I think this study showed that a typical family physician gets about 7 minutes with a patient. That's not enough time, is it?
Drives me insane. That's the insurance model. Have to see as many people as you possibly can within a short amount of time. You're throwing pills at people. You don't really get a chance to know people very well. Our philosophy at our clinic is new patients get about 45 minutes to an hour with us. Follow-up patients typically get about 30 minutes face-to-face with us. We like to really dive deep, really focus on, people's lives, both from a not just from a superficial medication, what are your medical problems, let's do this, but really get to know people, understand what makes them tick, what drives them. The better of a physician-patient relationship that you can develop with people, the more impact that you can have on their lives. And so I'd rather spend a little bit more time up front learning people and understanding what makes them drive so I can have a bigger impact on their lives, as opposed to just walking into a room, throwing pills at somebody and saying good luck with your future.
And sometimes those pills interact poorly with each other, and the doctor doesn't know what you're taking at home.
I mean, there's definitely a need for medications. I'm not saying that the standard of care medicine approach isn't necessary, but there are an abundance of other tools that we can use to promote health, promote longevity, promote wellness, in an effort to try to avoid needing those medications, but also being able to remove those medications when we can.
Yeah, let's talk about blood work, because blood work doesn't lie.
Yeah.
The patient can lie.
Yeah, well, what you see in a lot of just traditional healthcare practices, and what we're actually taught in medical school really is don't go looking for something unless you know what you're looking for. And so most panels that you'll see, pretty restricted, pretty limited, little blood counts, liver, kidneys, electrolytes, things like that. You're not really getting a deep dive for many people. And if, one philosophy is, okay, well, if you don't see it, don't treat it. But then if we're much more focused on the mindset of preventative and longevity care, searching for some of those things and understanding whether you're moving in one direction versus another is extremely important. So we don't believe in just like the traditional, look for 3, 4, or 5 things. We're going to do an expanded blood panel on just about everybody. And the traditional side, even in the functional medicine world, there are lab panels that, 35, 40 pages long, really deep dive. One of my favorite lab tests is a stool test that looks at GI function, how well you're absorbing, how well you're digesting, whether there's inflammation in the GI tract, because that's where everything starts.
Yes.
That's the interface, the only interface of our bodies between the outside world and the inside world. What we're bringing in, the standard American diet, all these processed foods, high sugars, they really impact the gut health. And the more impacted your gut health is, the more inflammation it drives. The more inflammation that drives, the more chronic disease you're going to see later on.
All right. My wife and I just got back from France. We were celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary, and you could tell the difference between people in Europe and people, she's from America.
Oh, yeah. Our food supply is very different, unfortunately. I'll see people all the time here, and a lot of docs don't believe in gluten sensitivities and things like that, but it is a very modified food in our society. And you'd be surprised at how many people I come in who we can dial back their inflammation, their GI pain, their bloating to gluten exposure. They go to Italy, they go to France, they eat pasta 4 times a day, they feel great. They come back here, have 1 bite of spaghetti, and boom, it goes off again.
Wow.
So the food supply, for better or worse, is, regardless of how well you try to do, there's always exposures that can kind of mess things up, whether it's gluten or dairy or alcohol exposure or heavy stress. All these things will impact the gut.
And Dr. Adalie, inflammation has a big role in your practice.
Yeah, definitely. We see it like throughout the spine. So when we're going to feel, we can tell when people are inflamed. And that's the great part about what we do is once we start feeling that on our side, we'll kind of push them over, do that lab work and see what's actually going on and try to fix it from the inside out on his side.
And people who have never seen a chiropractor before, they think it's just a back adjustment. It's much more than that.
Yeah, people are scared. We do a pretty long exam for us. You're going to be in on your first visit an hour and a half. So you'll do an exam. We'll do x-rays if needed, and then you'll get adjusted normally, and then we'll do soft tissue work, exercise rehab. It's not just an adjustment and out the door.
All right. Tell us why your businesses work so well together.
I think the general philosophy of health kind of goes back to that 5 pillars. It's nutrition, it's exercise, it's body health. You want to feel good, you want to look good, you want to be able to get around. Nobody wants to live to 100 if they can't utilize the left side of their body or if they're suffering with severe miserable pain. And so if our program here, if our philosophy is getting people to the end of their lives, whenever that may be, in tip-top shape, then you do have to utilize nutrition and exercise and functional mobility. I think what I always tell people is the number one factor for longevity is lean muscle mass. It's not just can you move around, but muscle is your safety deposit box. Like that's what you go in. The further, the deeper that you go into your 80s and 90s, most of the data supports that lean muscle mass and mobility is what promotes that the most. And so, from my perspective, we're treating people on the inside. From the inside out. From her perspective, she's focusing on the functional mobility, the strengthening, and she'll also do nutrition and stuff. And so a lot of it ends up mirroring very beautifully because we're focusing on different aspects of the body, from the inside out, from the outside in.
Yeah. Dr. Adalie, I think about Tiger Woods and how many back surgeries has he had? 4 or 5, something like that. I mean, had he seen a chiropractor early on, do you think he could have avoided all those surgeries?
It probably depends on everything else going on, right? And I'm sure he did see a chiro, but, he's a high-level athlete. They're doing a lot. So that's a hard one to answer. Yeah. But, the more movement we can keep in the body, in the spine, hopefully less likely to go to surgery.
When you go under the knife, what are the dangers there?
I mean, general anesthesia in and of itself is one of the more dangerous aspects of surgery. The anesthesiologists do a wonderful job of making sure that it's done safely. But anytime you cut, you're always producing more scar tissue. So sometimes it's necessary to go in there real deep and kind of clean things up and fix things. But for a lot of procedures, if it's not necessarily a surgery requirement, The goal is to get people to rehabilitate on their own, avoid the cutting, avoid the downtime, avoiding the risk for things like infections, and then avoiding the additional scar tissue that'll form as a result of those surgeries.
Yeah, and in the case of Tiger Woods, he got on some pain meds that continue to haunt him. We have another video from your Facebook page. Let's go ahead and put this on the screen and have you narrate this as you look at it. What are we looking at?
So in our practice, I think from this screen, you're seeing just a handful of the various modalities that we'll use, whether that's injections and whether we're injecting, lidocaine or things like that for trigger points. We can utilize PRP or platelet-rich plasma. There are some people who will find some benefit in utilizing exosome therapies. We also will promote full body, like body impedance scans instead of just standing on a scale and saying, like, what is your weight?
Yeah.
Really finding out what you're made of. How much of that weight is in muscle? How much of that weight is in bone? How much of that weight is in fat? We have shockwave therapies that are really good for the rehab that you could probably chat about a little bit. But shockwave therapy is a wonderful tool that can kind of send shockwaves deep into the fascia, break up fascial tissue and scar tissue, promote blood flow, and just tissue repair. What else do you
We do
offer?
cold laser, which penetrates deep, warms everything up, starts increasing blood flow. We use that a lot before treatments. We have a state-of-the-art gym in the back, and so we'll go back there and start the rehab portion as well. After we get them out of pain, then it is movement-based. And strengthening, we have spinal decompression, so that's great for those low back pain, disc pain, nerve pains that people have. They come in, that shooting down the leg. We'll use shockwave for that. We'll use decompression for that.
Had a lot of success with dry needling.
Dry
in the
needling
practice
as well. Yes. Basically, it's like deep tissue massage. We'll use massage therapy, but you can't get into the muscle. So we will put a needle in, kind of penetrate that muscle, get the spasm to stop as well, which has been awesome.
You guys are both kind of like medical detectives, aren't you? Because
That's the whole point of going into medicine. If you're just gonna throw this typical kind of decision tree at everything that walks through the door, it's very cookie cutter medicine. And what really makes an impact on people's lives is the personalized medicine. Understanding what exactly is wrong with somebody. You're not just putting them into a box, throwing pills at them, and just assuming that they're going to get better with it.
Yeah.
So we like to take the time to learn our patients, to really understand what drives them, what motivates them, really pick them apart from like an inside out sort of perspective, and then put our thinking hats on, as opposed to just doing what everybody else is doing.
well,
There's plenty of really good doctors out there that'll throw you on a statin for everything that walks through the door, and that might be the right call for many people, but we're going to be the ones that are going to think about you personalized and make sure that we come up with a game plan tailored towards you and not just the population base.
beautiful. We have about 2 minutes left. Dr. Adam, why don't you start, and Dr. Adalie, bring us home. Final thoughts.
If I could reach anybody out there, whether it's locally or regionally or statewide or nationwide, I'd like to instill kind of a motivational type approach for you. I want you to understand that it's not too late to get things together, to get your health together, to really focus on your health and wellness and well-being. Remember my 5 pillars: nutrition, eat clean, whole food diet. If it walks on the earth, if it swims on the earth, if it grows on the earth, that's food. If it comes out of a box, a package, or a can, it's processed. The exercise part is profoundly important. Really want to push weightlifting, strength training. Gut health is profoundly important. That's where a lot of our inflammation stems. And so getting a good handle on our gut health, whether you feel it or not, is paramount. Stress management in the world today, we're all stressed. Everybody's stressed 24/7. Being able to get a handle on that stress and have resiliency through that stress is extremely important. And then sleep quality. We spend a third of our lives asleep. You might sleep for 8 hours, but that quality of sleep is extremely important for detoxification, for repair, and rebalance.
Yes. All right, Dr. Adalie, bring us home.
And I think just wherever you are, and if you're seeing this, just find people who care about your health, right? And like we said, everyone's a puzzle. So our goal is to figure out what works best for you and create a plan for you specifically. So wherever you are, find those people to help you.
Outstanding. We're going to end with the website, which is modelwellness.com. Dr. Adalie and Dr. Adam, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for
You
having
bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.